Slick Ric Bucher, but Acho, does LeBron's injury end his MVP chances?
Fellas, not at all. Let's be real. Who's in the conversation? Because that's what dictates LeBron's chances. James Harden, he's currently in the conversation. James Harden, he missed a portion of the season too. Well, I mean, maybe not literally, but figuratively, because he was in Houston, but he wasn't in Houston. Who else do we have in this conversation? Giannis is in the conversation, but if LeBron James couldn't win a regular season MVP 3 years in a row because voters kind of got fatigued, y'all really think Giannis is about to win an MVP 3 years in a row? Last time we saw somebody win an MVP 3 years in a row, we got to go back to the 80s with Bird. So now you talk about Embiid. He's in the conversation, but if I'm not mistaken, Joel Embiid is hurt too. He's supposed to be out for 3 weeks. LeBron's supposed to be out for 4 weeks. So then you really land on the Joker, Nikola Jokic. That's where you end up. And I look at it like this. If LeBron James is out and the Lakers fall in the standings from 3 to 6 or 7, right behind the Nuggets, then LeBron James comes back with about 10 to 12 games left, leads the Lakers on a run. They go 9-1 over that 10-game stretch, go 11-1 over that 12-game stretch. You don't think that's not going to make more of a heroic story for LeBron, the King James? His chances are not nearly up because the primary competition, they have all missed portions of the season, either literally or figuratively. And then lastly, LeBron James will actually could potentially have a better story. If he leaves, the Lakers plummet. He shows up, the Lakers again ascend. That will just prove that he is the MVP we all know he truly is.
Have you guys ever been in a conversation where you agree with someone and then they start telling you why they believe what they believe, and you're kind of like, well, yeah, but I don't believe all that. That's kind of where I find myself right now with Acho, because no, his chances have not ended. And yes, the absence might actually bolster his opportunity. But it almost sounds like Acho is making a case why LeBron is still going to win the MVP, and I wouldn't go that hard in that direction. A little housekeeping to start with. Number one, there is no minimum number of games or percentage of games that a player has to play in a season in order to win MVP. That's never been established for voters. So it doesn't really matter from a technical standpoint how many games he ends up playing. Now, that said, if he comes back on the current timeline, which is he's back by April 26th, end of April, he has the opportunity to play 11 more games. If he did that, he would play a total of 52 out of 72. That's 72% of the season. Bill Walton back in 77, 78 actually only played 58 of 82. That's 70%, and he won MVP. So it is possible. And if by some chance the Lakers completely collapse, fall down, and then LeBron comes back and they roar back up the standings in those last 11 games, I could certainly see it happening. I would say that he's on the outside looking in, and that even that wouldn't guarantee him winning, because I'm not going to just vote on a guy because of what happens in his absence. That's not going to carry more weight than what guys do with their presence. And the fact of the matter is, there are 2 months left in the season. So, Acho, yes, it is a muddled picture, but with 2 months left, Harden could take the Nets to the best record. Giannis could take the Bucks to the best record. Damian Lillard could take the Portland Trailblazers to the best. Kawhi Leonard could take the Clippers to the best record, and this picture would look much different by the time we see LeBron James play again.
Man, y'all over here seriously waxing poetically about this and wrong as hell. It's a wrap. Y'all know it's over. That's why you guys agree and disagree on the same thing. Like, Slick Ric, I saw you over there. You're a runner, so you're out there running. I'm going to get there. And here go Acho with his old bougie in. He in an Uber. What's the good one? XL? Black? So here go Acho, just limousine. And y'all get to the same place different ways. But y'all both at the wrong destination. Let me tell you why it's a wrap. One, LeBron James, I'm not trying to hear this story argument. Golly, this is a performance argument. I understand when Acho goes there and says his story, but Slick, you vote on this. I hope you don't get caught up in the story of this all, because this story this year of LeBron James is not even as compelling as it was last year with LeBron James, and he didn't win the MVP last year. Here's my line on this. You can't do the same thing fewer times and be promoted or rewarded. I repeat, you can't do the same thing and then all of a sudden expect a promotion, and you did the same thing fewer times than you did last year. LeBron James has already been eliminated, Slick. You got to know your own behavior. I know that you have said that the voters don't care about a minimum number of games played. That's what y'all say, but that's not how y'all act. Let me give it to you like this. None of the last 10 MVPs missed more than 10 games in their MVP season. LeBron James is on pace to missing more than that. Okay, so let's go back. When's the last time somebody missed more than 10 games and won the MVP? 2000 and 2001. Allen Iverson. Guess how many games he missed? 11. One more. And that wasn't in a COVID season, a shortened season like this year right now. So every game you miss has even more impact, it should, on the voters' mindset in terms of performance. So when y'all want to talk about who else is out there, your argument is, well, who's going to beat him? I don't give a damn who's going to beat him. He eliminates himself because, one, he's not even better than last year's version. And two, he's doing last year's version less times this year than he did last year. Let me remind you of the numbers. This year, he's 25, 8, and 8. Last year, 25, 8, and 10. You mean he's not even better? Yeah, field goal percentage, three-point percentage, worse in assists. He's not even better than last year. He's going to do it fewer times, and y'all going to try and promote and reward him and give him the MVP? Make that make sense, homeboy.
Acho, I think you can agree with me on this. No one other than Marcellus brings up more often that last year was a bubble and 3 months off and how different it was and how unique it was. Okay, so this season is unique as well. We didn't have a normal off season. We didn't have a normal training camp. We're not playing 82 games. And the question is not, is LeBron James going to win MVP? It's, has LeBron James' opportunity or possibility of him winning, has that ended? And I can't say definitively that it has ended. Now, Marcellus, don't confuse my thinking with what I think the voters collectively might do. LeBron James is not at the top of my ballot. I am not expecting him to be at the top of my ballot. But I would not be a very good voter if I said right here today, because he's going to miss the next month, there is no chance that he could win MVP. I don't know what's going to happen through the remainder of this season and who else is going to do what. And I gave you the statistics on Bill Walton winning MVP because that's the baseline. So there is a path in which LeBron still ultimately could win it. But Acho's case about the narrative and coming back and this being a unique season, I can see a way in which the voters collectively would select him as MVP, and he would win even if he's not at the top of my personal ballot. The last thing I got to say, though, about this, and this is what makes me feel kind of funny, is LeBron James goes down with the, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist here, but I'm going to go there. LeBron James goes down with a high ankle sprain. They call timeout. He goes to the bench. He comes back in the game. Hits a three. They call another timeout so he can leave. I've never seen a guy with a high ankle sprain ever in a game. Like, why would he possibly come back again unless he's not quite as hurt as we thought he was, and they're recreating, he and AD are recreating the same thing they had last year. It may not be 3 months, but you know what? We can get a month off together, and then we can come rolling in with 11 games. That kind of like the pre-playoff bubble run. And then I'm not saying that's what's going on, but it kind of strikes me a little weird that he came back in that game, and I look at the dynamics, and I'm thinking, are they setting us up for something here?
Here's the thing, Slick. One, I'm not at all mad at that conspiracy. I like it. That'll give me some. That conspiracy gonna keep a lot of hoop heads up at night. Like, I wonder what is going on. Here's what I do know. This could play in LeBron James' favor for a plethora of reasons. I said a few yesterday. LeBron James, they now come back. If you play the NBA playoffs in some sort of bubble format, it doesn't matter if the Lakers are a 3 seed or a 6 seed. There is no home court advantage. LeBron James gets the rest that he desperately needs. But also, it comes down to narratives along with numbers. If we think this injury is going to exclude LeBron James from potentially winning an MVP, then James Harden, his time in Houston at the beginning of the season, could exclude him. Giannis, the fact that he's already won it 2 years in a row and we haven't seen someone win it 3 years in a row since Bird, could exclude him. Embiid being hurt, that could exclude him. Let Luka try to climb his name into the MVP race. The fact that the Mavericks are an 8 seed, that could exclude him. There are so many different qualifications and characteristics and traits and attributes throughout the course of a season that can exclude an individual, so LeBron James is not yet excluded. Without the Lakers, without LeBron, we see the Lakers struggle. You never know what you have until it's gone. LeBron James is going to come back and remind everybody that he at least should be in the conversation, like Slick said, for winning the MVP.
Man, I never knew I was working with two guys who had a value system that is just so flawed. And especially you, Slick. You're a voter, and you're in the room with all the other voters. Speak some sense to them people out there. Stop letting them get caught up in a compelling story that's actually less compelling than it was even last year. I loved your conspiracy theory, but I said this yesterday. Maybe Slick ain't paying attention to this show when he was on that damn segment, and maybe you ain't paying attention to this voting as well, Slick Rick. But LeBron came back for that streak, 1,036 games, a 10-plus points, an NBA streak. He wanted to keep going. And I also remind you that Kobe Bryant went to the free throw line and shot those free throws with that Achilles. So you can be hurt and still come back, and you still really are hurt. I got to point at Acho right now, because that's my dog. And, you know, we talk a lot on this show. We actually
you're done with me?
Yeah, I'm done with you, homeboy. Because we text a lot. You and Slick, every day we going to text it out. But Acho, you know I don't talk to you when I leave this show, because you single when you're in these streets. I don't know. But the point is, we only talk to each other through the show. So let's talk through the show. We do 9 segments a day, don't we, Acho?
Yes, sir.
And you make X amount of dollars. Now, Acho, your brother said it ain't that much, but I don't believe your brother. That's just brothers fighting over there. But you make X amount of dollars, correct?
Yes, sir.
Compared to me, it's like X minus. But, you know, it's still X. Here's the thing. You negotiate a contract, and in that negotiation, you say, oh, yeah, guess what? I'm only going to do 6 segments, but I want X plus dollars. They're going to look at you and say, really? Why? Because your value system is flawed right there, Acho. You're going to have to bring me something else to show me why Acho thinks he's going to do something fewer times but get more value out of it. That's what LeBron is basically asking the NBA voters to do, like Slick Rick. Hey, I'm going to do just the same in terms of performance, but I'm going to do it fewer times and still want the same amount of love. As a matter of fact, I actually want a promotion. That ain't how it works in the real world.